Laredo, take us out.
Take her out.
All right! Yeah! Blast off! Take flight each and every Friday night. Join the fun and let's go off-world. Geek out! Cause live where the nerdiness will thrive. Buckle up and let's go off-world. Toys, comics, pop culture news, movies and so much more. Matthew, Jesse, Curtis, and Sean are your guides on this fun-filled tour. Blast off! Take flight each and every Friday night. Join the fun and let's go off-world. Let's go off-world. Let's go off-world. Hey, hey, hey. Let's go off-world tonight.
Woo and choo choo. It is not Friday night. It is Monday at a weird time because Joe works stupid days.
That is true. Accurate.
We're going to talk some Star Trek. Joe, how you doing, sir?
Fantastic. And you know why?
Why is that?
Time to kick the nacelles and light the warp cores. Because we're going off-world Star Trek.
There we go. Off-World Star Trek. And we got good buddy Jeff here with us. You can't go into outer space without a cosmic Jeff, right?
Yep.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. It's Monday. We're talking Trek. Let's do this.
We are. And I have to say, before we get into it, my favorite Star Trek movie. So I know that, a lot of people like Wrath of Khan. There's some other favorites out there, but that seems to be the general one that most people enjoy the most. But this is my favorite. So I'm excited to talk about this. But before I do, there's a little piece of business we got to take care of. Good friend of ours, Jonathan Doneth, of Hedgehog Action. He's trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And I was quite shocked that he wasn't already there because that guy's putting out some fire content between reviews and Saturday Live and then taking you guys to cons on the East Coast and showing you all what's at the tables. There's no reason why people should not be subscribed. So if you're not, I've got a little message for you.
Hedgehog Action, the race to 1,000. Subscribe now, or get poked by a porcupine. Run, 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 run. Race to 1,000. Subscribe to Hedgehog Action on YouTube. Eat shit, Sonic Hedgehog Action is faster. Eat do every other hedgehog. Because Jonathan is the best to leave that goo.
Man, I love that song. And yeah, eat shit, Sonic, and eat doo-doo all the rest of the hedgehogs. I don't know why Sonic has to eat shit, but the other ones, they just have doo-doo.
He's probably the most name-recognized hedgehog of
That
them
must
all.
be it.
And I'll tell you what, I'm a subscriber. Why aren't you?
Exactly. I mean, it's yes, exactly. Eat shit, Sonic. Well, we are here at a weird time, so I didn't know if anybody was going to watch us live. We've got a few people out there. We got Benny in the chat. Says, hey, everyone. Also says, let's go off-world. I can go ahead and read all of his messages because there's only 4 people here. We also have Jeff pulling double duty in the chat and on screen. We've got Dylan, Legends Collector 1321, says, I've never seen a Star Trek, but I kind of like you guys, so I'm here.
Good enough.
I'm happy that he's here, but come on, man. Like, it's a great world. You gotta check one of them out. And then Wholesome Warlock is here, says, eat shit, Sonic. Yeah, absolutely. So we've done a couple of these now. We did one for what was the first one we did?
The
Star Trek First
card,
Contact.
right? No.
Yeah,
Oh,
Picard
Picard,
first.
Picard.
Yeah, Picard first, and then First Contact.
Mhm.
And now we are doing Undiscovered Country, or the Undisputed Poultry. So, yeah, I'm not sure. And you guys may remember when we had Joe Luke Picard. Well, now we have James T. Kurt. So,
All right. Yeah. That's a worthy pun.
yeah. So we'll have to figure out who Jeff is on the next one.
All right. I'm sure you'll come up with something.
So we're kind of bouncing around. We didn't do these in order because, I don't know. I don't know. Joe just said not to. Joe, was there a reason why we didn't do them in order?
Well, we didn't. We talked about it, doing them in order, but it seemed like starting with the motion picture was not a good starting point. I've never heard anyone say that the Star Trek, the motion picture, was their favorite. So, you want to start off with a strong foot forward, right? So we just decided that it's OffWorld and we do what we want. So we're just going to review as we see fit, what we feel like watching,
All right.
Yep.
So, I mean, it works for me. Betty's in the chat says, you never saw a Star Trek? Shake my head. What's wrong with you, Dylan? We're not here to shame, but Dylan, you got to rectify that situation. There's a lot of Star Trek out there. I mean, there's plenty to choose from. You could literally tell us what kind of things that you're into, and we could find something for you, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So,
I would definitely recommend Strange New World.
that's a great one to start with. Yeah.
Dylan, it's also a prequel, and Dylan is a youngster, so it's the most modern series, which probably has the most things that he likes in it.
Yeah, I could see that. Wholesome Warlock says General Chang is the best Shakespearean sci-fi villain of all time. I mean, when you put it that way, I can't disagree with that. So
you haven't heard Shakespeare until you've heard it in the original Klingon.
Yeah. I will say though, I've never heard a different Shakespearean sci-fi villain. So, but yeah, I mean, he's pretty good. So,
well, Khan technically, I mean, he's not a Shakespearean villain, but he does quote Shakespeare at the end, right?
Oh, okay.
From hell's heart, I stab at thee. So on.
I mean, I would say Chang is better than him.
You'd be the only one to.
I'm saying as far as the Shakespeare part of it.
During the
he utilizes it with greater impact.
There, okay.
I would say
fair,
especially like the way that it kind of ends. So I mean, this movie is like ridiculous years old, so we're not going to worry about spoilers. So don't be coming at us with spoil this, spoil that, Dylan. If you're going to watch it, you shouldn't be watching this.
If you're worried about spoilers, you should probably catch us on the replay after you've watched the flick. Yeah.
So this is after the original series. This actually, I believe it came out like 3 years after Next Gen had started. Mm-hmm. So it is, it's a prequel to Next Gen. It's towards, it's basically towards the end of the original series. After the original series, and the Federation has basically been at war with Klingons for 70 years
since the original series.
I think they said 70 years, but basically there's an explosion, and the Klingons can no longer afford to be at war with the Federation. And so there's going to be some peace talks, the guy that they've got kind of coordinating things is Spock, and Spock volunteers the Enterprise and Kirk and the crew to kind of head up this peace escort to go and grab the Klingons and bring them to where they're supposed to meet and stuff, which Kirk isn't really excited about at first. He even says,
I don't think he's excited about it the whole time.
Yeah. You vouched for me, like he volunteered them. We get another we get another Vulcan in this, which is the what's her name? Kim Cattrall from Sex and the City.
Yep.
And she is like, I guess, an apprentice for Spock. I guess he kind of recommended her in the academy and stuff, and she worked her way up, whatever. So she's kind of a newer character on this. Typically, if you got a newer character, they're either going to die or they're not going to, I don't know, be aligned with them. And she turns out to be a bad guy. So the Klingon guy that's supposed to have these peace talks, his ship gets fired on, then he gets killed. They blame the Enterprise. They blame Kirk specifically because he's the captain. He's responsible for everything. They have a sham of a trial, which the actor that plays Worf is playing a Klingon defending them in the trial.
They actually call him Worf.
Well,
General
he's supposed to be his great-grandfather, I believe.
Yeah, he's an ancestor of Worf.
Yeah. So, which is interesting because, like I said, this is like 3 years into Next Gen. So he's already established as that character, and here he is playing his great-grandfather.
Yep.
Yeah, but that doesn't. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I enjoyed the connection.
I don't either.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Why did they call him Worf though?
Yeah, I don't know that.
That is such an odd choice.
Yeah,
to give him
Worf, grandson of Worf.
Yeah, like the exact same name.
Yeah.
Peculiar. I don't know.
They get sentenced not to death, but to life on Rurapente, which is like a frozen Klingon planet, or
it's an asteroid. It's the lithium mine on an asteroid.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be mining and stuff. And
Rurapente is a death sentence.
Yeah,
like they don't call it a death sentence, but it's the aliens' graveyard. So Klingons, their social construct is that being taken prisoner is dishonorable. So that's why they call it the alien graveyard, because there's no Klingons in prison there. Klingons prefer death to imprisonment. So it would be dishonorable for them to send a Klingon there. So everyone that's on Rurapente as a prisoner is an alien. So
and Jordan agreed with you. The Khan would be classified as a Shakespearean sci-fi villain. So there you go. Okay. But so the whole, basically the theme of the movie is like, we don't know who actually shot on the ship. We don't know who killed. It's like this mystery. So the ship was shot. 2 people beamed over in Starfleet uniforms with gravity boots, shot the Chancellor as well as a couple other Klingons, and then took off. So the question is, like, was it the Enterprise that shot them? And if it wasn't, where did the shots come from? Who are the people that went over there? And so then it's like this kind of murder mystery kind of thing as we go through trying to figure it out. And then lo and behold, we find out that the Vulcan that we were talking about before is kind of behind it. She had 2 guys that had went over in the gravity boots, which I didn't notice until this time watching. And I've seen this movie like 20 times, maybe more, that it's the same 2 guys that were in the transporter room that were talking shit about the Klingons, about them smelling and stuff, that it's those 2 guys that went over there.
She says, don't you have something or work to do?
Don't you have something to be doing? There's something to do or some work to do. And I'm just thinking at the time, like every time that I've seen it up until this time, I'm just thinking, well, she's just like, they're telling them to get back to their Starfleet work, right?
Right.
No, she's telling them that they need to get ready to be beaming over.
Get your murder outfits on.
Yeah, get your murder outfits ready. Because then she takes them out later because they can lead back to her and whatever. So that's kind of the gist of the movie. They end up solving it. They get Dr. McCoy and Kirk off of Rurapente, and they stop the assassins that are trying to kind of basically continue war between the Klingons and Starfleet, which is kind of interesting because you got people on both sides. You got people on the Klingon side that think they should stay at war, and you got people on the Starfleet side that think they should stay at war, mostly because they just can't work together. And yet those people work together to create this whole elaborate scheme. Yeah. So it's like the process of them setting this whole thing up proved that they can work together.
Plus the Romulans.
Yeah, and the Romulan. There's one
Which
Romulan. It didn't do. Really
I got to
shit,
comment.
but,
I got to comment on that because there's zero reason for the Romulans to be involved in this plot, and
100%.
it feels like they're just like, well, of course the Romulans are gonna. The writers like
Well,
we've got to have a Romulan.
Why would they even be
this.
involved in the peace talks with the Federation when they have nothing to do with the Federation, right? Like,
Yeah, well, they border on Klingon space, so
Yeah.
the neutral zone is a three-way, between those
Oh,
three galactic
hit on.
powers. But in the context of the plot of this movie, there's zero reason for the Romulans to be involved at all. Yeah, and it was a weird
except
choice.
stirring up shit. Like they do.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
just like that's what Romulans do, kind of a trope. I think Lower Decks does a good job at poking fun at that. With the Romulans, that's pretty excellent. But I can see what they drew their inspiration from. It's stuff like that. It's just like the Romulans are wait, you guys are having a scheme without us? You can't do that.
So they figure it out. Oh, wait a minute, folks. Hold on. We got a little update here. It looks like a certain Art by Ackerman paintbrushes are being delivered right as we speak.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Excellent.
UPS has pulled up front and they're getting ready to drop them off. So yeah, if you're a subscriber over on the Art by Ackerman channel, you've been hearing about these paintbrushes. They're set to arrive now, and he needs to get out the two-wheeler because it's a lot of paintbrushes. All right. So they figure out that basically there was a cloaked ship that was beneath them that was able to fire, which is really weird because cloak ships have never been able to fire. So that's what makes it so strange. But they find it, figure it out. They do the whole, stop everything, and and that's kind of the story. But so let's just start going through it. So movie starts. Klingon, the thing explodes. There's a shockwave that apparently Sulu's a captain now. And it hits his ship and they're trying to get out of it. That's kind of the first thing we see. So we'll just start from there. Thoughts on that part of it?
I think that I love the writing of having Sulu, the whole bridge crew is thrown to the floor. They're all laying there on the floor like they're playing Twister or something. And Sulu is turn into the wave, showing that his experience as a helmsman can come into play, him being a captain. It's a small detail, but one that I liked a lot for that intro scene, just showing that he has a lot of experience, with starships and things like that. So loved that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he did some of the best acting in this movie because he pretended like he liked Captain Kirk the whole time. When we know that those two absolutely can't stand each other in real life.
Well, it wasn't in person, so that's
that's true.
He specifically says Captain Kirk a lot.
Yeah.
Captain Sulu, Captain Kirk. They're
Yeah.
probably talking to little dolls off screen of him. That's Captain Kirk. That's not the guy who plays him. I like the character.
A tiny little cameo on that crew of Christian Slater. Just
Wakes
kind
him
of, he comes to his room late at night to ask him a dumbass question. Sulu gives him an answer that doesn't really fit Starfleet protocol, and he questions him, and he quickly puts him in his place.
You have trouble hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No, that was cool. And the blonde lady played Ensign Rand. I mean, that's the character she's playing in this too, but she was another actor from the original series.
Yeah.
And there were some bad things that went on, not on screen, but off screen with producers and things like that. And Leonard Nimoy personally fought to get her a part in this movie because of those things that got her removed from the original series that were not above board. So it was a nice cameo to see Rand on the bridge in this. So.
Interesting.
Very cool. So yeah, go ahead.
For me, the explosion of Praxis, the Klingon moon that starts this off, is probably one of the best planet explosions I've seen. Barring Alderaan, the explosion of Alderaan, but the way that they exploded Praxis and then the wave after is just probably one of my favorite.
I mean, it is from the 90s, so a lot of the special effects aren't the best, but that was pretty good. I will say that after that happened, though, and they're like, what did the one guy says, like, I can locate the like the location of Praxis, but I can't find the existence of Praxis. And then Sulu's like, put it on the screen, and it is like the crappiest, like
a painting.
Yeah, it is like and it's just like really, really bad. It looks like Pong or something. It's just like a really bad video game.
Yeah, I hate to keep like referencing Lower Decks, but when they do that in Lower Decks where the effect from the old movies come up, and they're like, wow, the graphics are so advanced, and the other one's like, shut up, proto matter, but that's unstable, So I love them poking fun at some of the things that we like to poke fun at.
Very cool. So then there's the, after the explosion, they have this get together, and, Kirk and the crew are kind of looking like, where's Spock at? And, thinking that they're going to receive some sort of award or something. Like they don't know what the hell's going on. Why
they're set to retire.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, they're not there for a award. That's for sure. So what did you think about the moment where Spock walks in and he basically volunteers them for this mission?
I love the acting in the beginning of this movie. Like Kirk's, I think you would call it vitriol for the Klingons, is portrayed so well. Like he absolutely holds this horrible bitterness towards them for the things that he perceives that they've done as a race, and I loved seeing that expressed even between characters that are such good friends as Kirk and Spock, to almost be at odds in this because of that. Honestly,
is it the other, is it Admiral Cartwright, the one that's
Admiral
like
Cartwright.
very against? Yeah,
he's the one who speaks up and says, I detest what you have planned.
And
Kirk,
basically says, like, this is the moment to kind of squash them. This is the moment to stomp them out, right?
Yeah.
Like they're weak, and let's at this point, like, this is the weakest moment they've ever had. This is the moment for us to finish them off. And Kirk basically says, I have to agree. So,
which I have to say, what is the vetting process to be an admiral in Starfleet? Because anybody who's been a Star Trek fan for any amount of time, like, they have the worst admirals. like you have to be a villain to move up in Starfleet. Like, all the heroes are captains and all the villains are admirals. Like, I don't know.
Well, we get an Admiral Janeway and we get an Admiral Picard.
Yeah, but we never see them do anything. I guess because they're not evil enough.
Yeah.
But it seems like
a lot of the good admirals get demoted also back to captain several times. So, yeah. Which comes up later in this film. So Spock comes up, he volunteers the crew. Kirk is not happy. But it is what it is. They have a little kind of side conversation there. And then they kind of get on their way. There's a moment where Kirk is in his room kind of talking about how they killed his son and he doesn't trust the Klingons and all this and that. The Vulcan lady kind of shows up at his doorway. They have a little conversation that kind of comes back to bite him later. And then they continue on to meet the Chancellor. So as far as like that opening, getting through the being voluntold and, heading off to meet the Klingons, anything else that you guys want to talk about on that part?
Just that it was a horrible idea to pick the Enterprise crew. Like, I get it that it's the basis for a movie, but thinking in a logical sense, like, very few crews have had as many problems with the Klingons as the Enterprise crew. I mean, I
think that's the idea, is like, if they
were volunteered by
Spock. I think the idea is if Kirk can show a little bit of, kind of I don't know, humble working together with the
empathy.
Klingons, then that should show the rest of Starfleet, because at this point, like, Kirk's pretty well known among Starfleet, right? Like, if they say, hey, Kirk escorted these folks to the negotiations, he was part of this, I think a lot of the Cartwrights of the world would go, okay, well, if he's okay with whatever happened, then I guess I should be okay. That's kind of the way that I looked at it. But you're right, it wouldn't be my first choice.
No, not at all. Hey, Sulu was right there.
Yeah, you would
Right.
think the Excelsior Sulu would go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just seemed like overall maybe a not well thought out decision.
Yeah. And then as I'm watching this with like a more of critique eyes this time and kind of looking at it, I noticed that that the Vulcan lady, I can't remember her name for the life of me. Okay. She's the one that recommends the Romulan ale, which also comes back to bite him later in the trial, right? So, and I was like, that little jerk, like she coordinated all this little shit. Like, she's fucking good, but yeah.
Logically, if you put booze in front of humans, they'll get drunk.
Yeah, and they'll say stupid shit. And so they're all sitting around there. Well, the Vulcans come over, they introduce themselves. So you've got the Chancellor, you've got his daughter, a security guy that he names, I can't remember his name, a couple other Klingons, and then you've got General Chang. And Chang is very talkative. He's quotes a lot of Shakespeare. He just he's just very interactive with Kirk and the crew. Just in kind of a smarmy, shitty Klingon-y way. So so they go to dinner, they have a meal, and then they act like Uhura acts surprised to see them eating this disgusting stuff, like as if they didn't know that was going to happen, or they're not on their ship serving it to them. It's not like they brought the food with them, right? Like, like they served it to them, but yeah,
something interesting. Pardon me. Something interesting too is that the server's outfit, other than the white gloves, I thought was somewhat reminiscent of the Discovery uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was kind of an interesting thing there. And I'm curious now if the costume designers for Discovery took any, they were just like watching that and were like, hey, I like those server outfits. So I don't know if that's a thing or not, but it kind of caught my attention.
That's interesting.
I could see that. Anything else on the dinner and the whole, like, just them meeting them for the first time and all that?
Christopher Plummer being General Chang reminded me of when Terrence Stamp was Zod. You just know from the moment you meet the character that he's gonna be the one that's gonna stir up everything. And like, there's no doubt that he is the antagonist, the villain of the piece the moment you meet him.
Yeah, as much as having Kirk doing the escort and the Enterprise may not have been the smartest decision on Starfleet's part, the Chancellor bringing Chang, terrible fucking idea. like he definitely should have known, like, what we're trying to do here. This guy is definitely against it. He is 100% against it. So yeah, probably not the guy you want to bring with you.
No.
And Chang is a bald Klingon, which is not something up to that point that you really saw.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got that little tiny, like, weak ponytail in the back.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but think, did Chang at some point have Klingon cancer? I just couldn't help but think that, because that little ponytail is like so pitiful back there. And he's like, it's the only hair left after my radiation treatments. I don't know.
Wow.
I mean, he's also, he's a warrior. Like, maybe, who knows? Maybe something else happened.
Oh, maybe he got exposed to radiation without the cancer. That's possible too. Yeah.
Like, like a Pike situation. So
right.
He also has the mustache that's only on the sides but not in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, which is interesting because later on, Kirk makes a reference to Hitler, which would be mustache in the middle, not the sides.
Not on the sides.
It's like the opposite. And he's specifically talking to Chang at that moment because Chang he was quoting Shakespeare, but then he says something which then Kirk says basically as a quote from Hitler.
Yeah.
So
And
Spock gives him he gives him a stink eye too. Spock gives him a like yeah.
But yeah, that's the original series had a habit of, and I get, in the 60s, it hadn't been that far removed from World War II. But I do think that some of those references are a bit overused, considering the distance and time of the setting.
Yeah.
That maybe he should have referenced something like it sounded like Khan instead of Hitler,
Yeah,
like
I'm with you, but I also see like when I watch like Discovery and stuff and they talk about like music that we listen to today or shit like that. Like they just do that. Like I think the writers or whatever, they just mix in some stuff that they care about. It's like, yeah, but in a couple hundred years, they're not gonna give two shits about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's a big jump to go from Shakespeare to Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's got to be
right. There was a bit of time that passed. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. So so the meal doesn't go super great. They go to their respective places. All the Enterprise folks are not feeling the greatest after having the Romulan ale. They need to go and kind of sleep it off. And then there's some like weird energy disturbances that they can't really figure out what's going on. Right.
It's a radiation that they detect that they don't use to find the ship at the end of the movie, which is a weird, because I kind of expected that. Like, oh, they detected that radiation when they were getting ready to fire in the
right
beginning.
Underneath of them. So it may be something that you can only do.
Yeah, it's usually like, movies will do some foreshadowing for that aha moment at the end. And
well,
I really
did, because that's how they set up the torpedo, right? Is to target that radiation.
No,
target the heat.
The gas from.
Oh, gotcha. See, I thought
impulse engines. Yeah.
Okay.
Plasma, the plasma venting or whatever.
Yeah.
From the impulse
tailpipe. Yeah, they made.
That's what they did. They basically shot it up their tailpipe. Which, interestingly enough, modern day stealth aircraft have overcome that deficiency that they couldn't.
That was another reference where I'm like, why would they refer to a tailpipe? Like they wouldn't even, they wouldn't even have any clue of what a fucking tailpipe is at that point in time.
No combustion engines.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, they have this, weird disturbance, and then all of a sudden shots are fired on the Klingon vessel. It definitely looks on the view screen like it came from the Enterprise. So everybody's confused. It knocks out the gravity in the Klingon vessel, and the folks beam over there, start shooting. And man, probably my favorite part is like just the floating purple gooey Klingon blood. Like, I just love it.
And that is a really cool visual. And what type of phasers are they using?
I have no idea. Because
they were phased. They looked like regular phasers, but they like punched holes in people. They ripped that dude's arm off. Like phasers don't usually act like that.
I mean, like modified. Maybe that's the work that she said they had to go do. Maybe they had to go
was it just their favorite? Yeah, they're set your phasers on gory.
Yeah, on amputation.
right. Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I love the like floating lava lamp purple Klingon blood. Like that, one of my favorite things is just seeing that stuff just around. So, and then as they're going back, you see like the stuff is just kind of like the blood is just following them, just kind of going around. And so as they get ready to beam out, obviously there's no gravity in the Klingon ship, but when they get wherever they're going, that blood's going to fall. It's going to get somewhere. So,
yeah. And then when it splats, it looks like the ooze from like old Nickelodeon shows.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't look like blood. It looks goopy. Yeah. Which is probably a property of Klingon blood from that era or something. But just, I noticed that, but I was like it kind of looks like slime more than blood. Yeah,
it was awesome though. I loved it.
it was.
I
The
loved
scene
it.
was good. I love
the
actors
gravity
because
boots, too.
I
just
think
love the sound like clomp, clomp, clomp,
well,
you know.
well, the actors floating too. You know, it's traditional special effects, so the guys had to like
on cables.
Yeah.
you know, they're acting being weightless while they're being lifted with like wires or something, and that they did a really good job on that.
Yeah,
to make it look really, really good.
Crom says those were type 5 phasers. So
Well, I get that, but the phasers usually either burn or disintegrate people. Like phaser wounds are usually burns in like all media, and these were like punching holes in people. That's all I meant.
Could it be the zero G?
William says never seen 0G in Star Trek before. I don't remember seeing it before this. So I mean, we've seen it after this, right?
Yeah.
We just talked about First Contact, and you had the boards and everything, and you know you're using the gravity boots on the outside of the ship. But yeah, this is the first time I ever remember seeing it, but it was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, in the motion picture, they're in spacesuits outside the ship. 0G.
It's been a minute since I've watched the motion picture, so
so Kirk and Bones decide to beam over, right? Well, Kirk's going to beam over because he's responsible.
Spock originally wants to beam over.
Spock does, but Kirk says, no, you're going to have to be the one that gets me out, kind of thing. Spock very clearly puts his hand on his shoulder and puts something on Kirk's shoulder, a little tracking
something
device.
By the way, it's not like a little bat symbol, you know, with a blinking red light. This thing is huge.
Yeah, it's pretty
and
big.
Super obvious through
nicotine
the rest
patch
of the
size.
And they don't take their uniforms like afterwards, like when they get sentenced, they just like, you know, anyway, whatever. But Bones decides that he's going to go over too, because there may be somebody in need of medical attention. Their doctors may be hurt or whatever. So he just decides to go as well. They get there to find that the Chancellor is in real bad shape, and Bones tries to save him, but he doesn't understand his anatomy, so he's kind of lost. It ends up straddling him and punching him in the chest several times, to which, you know, if you're a Klingon and you've never seen anybody do this before, like you're probably thinking like this is very violent, what's going on. And then he lives long enough just to give Kirk one message, which is to not let it end like this. So, and then they're in trouble. So thoughts with the whole shooting them up and Kirk and Bones going over there. Anything else on that?
A small detail that I absolutely loved was that Gorkon, I forget. Gorkon.
Yeah.
Has blood coming out of his mouth, which usually, unless you were, you know, hit in the face with something, but you see it in movies all the time where people very commonly have blood come, but he has blood coming out of his mouth. Then when Bones is working, trying to heal his chest wound, you can see bubbles coming up through his blood, which means one of his lungs is punctured. Which would cause blood to get into his lungs and come out of his mouth. I know it's like a small detail, but I thought a really great one.
Yeah, specific.
You know, for adding realism to the effect of, you know, there's blood coming out of his mouth. Because I saw the bubbles and I was like, that's kind of weird that his chest is bubbling. But then just thinking about it, you know, his lung was punctured by the phaser. You know, set to gruesome.
Mace says that they had to change the color of the blood pink, which I think is purple, but to get a PG. Interesting. Yeah. So it's not just to give me a cool purple blood that I love for the rest of my life.
Right.
And then throughout, Klingon blood does change colors depending on what you watch. So
yeah, because Worf's blood was always red.
Yeah.
In Next Generation. So, but that was it. That was a very interesting detail that I enjoyed quite a bit.
But they said Worf was red because he was half Klingon.
Yeah. Okay.
It was interesting, like when he like injected him with something like into the wound. It was like really gory, like the way that his wound was and stuff. I'm sitting there looking at that guy. I'm like, there's no way
You're not coming back.
I don't know what you're doing. Like, like I'm not a doctor, but I'm sitting there looking at it like you can call this one, buddy. Like,
well, Klingons have organ redundancy naturally. That's part of the reason why they're so tough is because they'll reference it in some of the other series that like them having two hearts, they have like a backup heart and things like that. So wounds that would be immediately fatal to a human might not be to a Klingon. So
gotcha. So they arrest the captain and the doctor, and now the hunt is on for Spock to figure out what really happened. So they start, they look at the footage again, and they decide that they're going to go looking for the gravity boots. Like that's the key. So, and I think at one point, he says, whatever they need is on the ship. Either somebody changed the logs and they're on the ship, or whoever beamed over is on the ship. So
right, because
whatever they need is on the ship. Yeah,
they fired torpedoes, which Scotty counted all the torpedoes, and they're all there,
but the logs were off, saying that.
But the logs showed that they fired 2 torpedoes.
Yeah,
and it's easy to change the logs.
Yeah, I think it. In all honesty, like thinking on that now, probably rather than having a cloaked ship that can fire and because like Chang had to get off of that ship, get onto this other ship, where he's got another Klingon like crew that's managing this other ship, right? Like that's a lot of coordination. Then they've got to be cloaked underneath the Enterprise to where they're not touching them, but close enough that it looks like it's from them, and then fire the torpedoes. That's a lot of coordination when they could have just had that Vulcan chick just actually have the Enterprise shoot at them. Right? Then you wouldn't have to adjust the logs because the torpedoes really would be theirs. And you know what I'm saying? Like it just feels like that would be an easier way to do it than the whole cloaked ship firing. But
they could have also just blown up the ship.
Yeah.
Not just hit out the gravity.
Yeah.
I guess you had to have witnesses though to talk about it, right? Like you had to have Klingons that survived it
to
be able to talk about how the Enterprise did this to him.
Yeah.
Now, when the prototype bird of prey is cloaked and shoots at Chancellor Gorkon's ship, and you get like a video of Chang saying, why did you do this? Why did you shoot on us? Do you think he's on the prototype, or do you think he's on the Chancellor's ship?
He's totally on the prototype, just like pretending, like holding on to the pole, even though he's not.
He may not have been on. He may not have ever gone over to the prototype. He may have had orders for them to fire and do all that stuff while he stayed on the other. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Because it's like
I think in my headcanon from now on, he's on the prototype pretending that there's no gravity.
Yeah.
Like his little ponytail, somebody's in the background, like flopping it around, like hiding behind him.
Yeah.
That's my new headcanon.
I'm not sure. I just feel like between, the Romulan, I don't even know the guy's name, Cartwright, the Vulcan lady on the Enterprise, Chang, and all the other, Klingon assassin we see later, the Klingons that are on that crew. That's just a lot of coordination. Like that does a lot of like the thing just exploded, right? We just started having these talks, and somehow across the galaxy, they've contacted all these people, put together this elaborate scheme, created this prototype that can fire while it's cloaked, and put all this into motion like in that short time period.
I think that the word you're looking for is convoluted.
Yeah,
it's not coordinated, convoluted.
Well,
they're adding steps that don't need to be there.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, okay, the motivation for everybody that's on that side of kind of creating this illusion is that they don't want Klingons and Starfleet to be together. They don't think that they can work together. They don't want them to be friends, right?
But they don't want anyone to know that they don't want them. Want them to be friends.
but they work together with the Klingons and Starfleet work together in order to create this ruse.
Mhm.
So like they reached out to people, created friendships or alliances, plans with people that hate them. Right? It's
Right.
just very
absolutely.
Yeah, it's just very
That,
very
hey,
odd.
that sounds like a Romulan plot to me.
Like, yeah, I would love to see the Undiscovered Country prequel where or like, I guess it's not even prequel because it would just be from the time that the moon explodes until the time that they meet the Chancellor.
That's a good point too. They come
All
up
of
with
that
this
stuff going
plan
on.
really, really fast.
Yeah.
Like it's already pre-planned before Praxis explodes,
Like
then Praxis just puts it into motion.
Yeah, like they're all everyone that's working together, villainous, are sitting at a bar somewhere talking about how much they hate each other's races. You know, you know what? If anything ever happens where we get the chance, we should sabotage peace talks. That's a great idea. Let's come up with a plan just in case.
Yeah.
That sounds actually.
Yeah, side squill. Yeah, that's what I want. Cycle. So there's now a trial. The trial is really just a sham. Like it is,
I want to give props to the Klingon justice process. Sham or not, they fired through that thing fast.
Oh, they rocked it. They rolled
I'm
it.
telling you what, like human justice system is not that efficient. Sham or not, man, I was really impressed at how quickly they were able to. Kirk and Bones didn't even get to change their clothes. That's how fast they had their trial. That stuff doesn't happen in the.
And what stuck out to me was the translator boxes. It looked like 66 Batman bat radios.
It was yeah.
The translators changed how people's mouths looked. Not only did they sound like they were
it looked like they were
their
speaking
mouths
English.
moved like they were speaking English.
Very
That's a technology right there.
So they do a trial and it comes out they actually have the captain's log where he's talking about how he doesn't trust Klingons, which is very interesting that they've got that bit of information. Like that's not something that would just be turned over to them. And
you're not supposed to be, ironically, you're not supposed to be able to access someone's personal logs without approval from
the person,
an admiral.
Yeah.
Only an admiral can give the clearance to get personal logs, which
gotcha. Yeah. They got Admiral Cartwright.
I don't know if they did that on purpose, but that's kind of how the lore is for that. So
one of my favorite parts of my favorite part of the trial is when he asks Kirk about being demoted multiple times due to insubordination. And then he yells at him, "Don't wait for the translation. Answer now." Like he yells
in
at
English.
In English. And,
in English, he yells, "Don't wait for the translator. Answer it now."
Yeah. And I absolutely love that. It's so fucking great.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah. Even though anybody who's actually been to court for things, when the prosecutor starts yelling at you and you're just sitting there like I didn't do that, but I'm not allowed to talk, kind of a thing. It can be really uncomfortable. So they definitely captured that feel in those scenes.
Yeah. Other thoughts on the trial, Jeff?
Just the environment that they have them in is like grungy. All the other Klingons are in the shadows. You don't know how this is going to turn out because you see Michael Dorn as his ancestor, Colonel Worf, General Worf, whatever it is. So I'm like, are they? Well, they're going to get convicted, but how are they going to get convicted? And is it are they going to get straight to death or what's going to happen? So it's a dicey courtroom, court drama in a few minutes. Yeah,
it's very stressful indeed. So and the Enterprise as well as Sulu ship as well as the Starfleet, like everybody's able to listen to this trial as it's going on. Like it is simulcast everywhere in the universe. Yeah, very interesting. But they don't get sentenced to death. They get sentenced to life on Rurapente.
Which is the death sentence.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they get there. Obviously, there's some skirmishes right away with people trying to beat up on the humans. And Kirk kicks this one alien in his knee to take him out because that's what you do. You take him out at the knee. Only it's not his knees; it's something else.
It's his genitals.
It seems like an evolutionary joke almost, because that would be the worst place. You'd be like, I tripped and fell on my nuts. It just seems like a horrible place to have them stored.
That would be pretty bad. I can't tell you how many times I skinned my knee as a kid. And
oh, dude, you'd be like, oh, babe, I walked by the coffee table and smacked my nuts. It just, it just seems like a terrible way to have genitals. But yeah, poor bastard. Not to mention, his pants are ripped during that scene. So should it have been PG? Probably not, if they're showing genitals.
And then Kirk finds an alien that he's gonna make out with because he's Kirk and that's what we do. So I
love that Bones is like, what's wrong with you?
It's so great. It's so great. Because it happens all the time. This isn't a one-off. This happens all the time. And then the fact that we then later see her and she's like this big giant monster. And it's like, oh, okay. So which one is her real form? And she even says later, I thought I would present myself in a form that was more pleasing or something. So what is her real? We don't know. But he made out with something.
Not the kissing one.
Yeah.
And she also says she's the big brute guy because they won't let females down into the mine.
Yeah.
So really,
but she also turns into a little girl. Which, what if that's her true form? How disturbing is that shit?
Yeah. Either way, it's not good for Kirk.
But it's definitely not when she turns into Kirk.
Yeah. So meanwhile on the Enterprise, they're trying to track down these gravity boots. They find the gravity boot and Chekhov, he's ready to read this guy. He's like giving him the riot act. He's like, if the shoe fits, drops it on the ground and the guy has quit. The alien web feet that absolutely would not have fit into a gravity boot. So now they're back to the drawing board. Figure out what's going on. So things progress. The alien lady that was making out with him says that she can get him out of there as long as they have somebody to beam them out. She can get them past the field, the force field, the shield, whatever. But we saw when they first got to Rurapente, they threw one guy out there and he was frozen dead within seconds. So yeah. But they're all bundled up, so I guess that's okay. And they're just walking through there.
I don't know. I mean, they're the heroes; they have to survive. But my impression is that on the surface of Rurapente, if it's not like when the sun is shining down, that your lungs will freeze just from breathing the air.
Yeah,
it's that cold. So
die from the inside out.
But they have hero lungs, so
Yeah. Crom says, does it matter? She could be anything you want. She could also be anything you don't want. So yeah.
Take that for what you will.
Yeah. So there. So they get outside the shield. She starts a fire. Billy Joel did not, but she did. And Kirk is very suspicious to the point where he socks her right in the jaw.
He should have kept going. Because then things got really awkward after that.
Yep, and then she turns into looking like him. They end up fighting. He says that he can't believe that he kissed himself.
Then, but not now.
Yeah. She says it must have been your life's long ambition. And they continue to fight. Next thing you know, her people show up. They're kind of doing the Spider-Man pointing fingers at each other. They shoot one of the Kirks. It's not our Kirk, folks, which, that was close. That was close. So after
And
they
if
shoot
you
them-
notice,
By Marta.
she vaporizes.
yeah.
She doesn't have a hole blown in her like
Yeah, Klingons don't mess around.
right.
So she's gone, and now, of course, they're just going to turn right to Kirk and now shoot him and vaporize him as well. Nope. First, they've got to explain their whole plot. So, now they've got to go into their whole evil scheme to let them know what's going on. But before they can get to all the juicy information, they get beamed out, and Kirk is not happy because he almost got all the information. To which Chekhov says, "You want to go back?"
And Bones immediately says, "No."
He does not. They do not. Yeah. So this continues to go on. They I think it's just randomly like Scotty like hears something in the vents, and it's like the uniforms from these two guys that beamed over. He goes trying to find them. They find the guys, and they're dead. They've been shot. So now the mystery continues. We have the two guys that beamed over. Potentially they could be framed. But we potentially have the two guys that beamed over, but somebody now killed them. So how did that happen? So
And I just thought it was interesting that the super advanced sci-fi spaceship had like traditional air vents.
yeah.
A grill cover over it,
Yeah.
I was like, the cover is rattling because they didn't put it back on securely. I think it's
you're
cool
not doing
that
your job.
you're right. I think that it's cool that Scotty was the one that noticed, though, because being an engineer, he'd be listening for any sounds that were out of place.
You can hear the ship.
Right.
Yep.
But
so then they've kind of coordinate a plan that we don't know about. Spock and Kirk are kind of whispering to each other, doing their little Spock Kirk thing. And then you hear over the intercom that they're calling somebody to take a statement from the two that we know are dead. I guess to draw out whoever killed them. And I would assume that whoever killed them knows that they're actually dead. And this would be a total ruse, and they would catch on to that right away, especially if they were a logical person. But no, the logical Vulcan walks right into the med bay to shoot the person, who then turns on the light. She doesn't fire as the light comes on, just stands there and watches and waits to see who it is. And it's Spock, who then tells her to shoot him, and she still doesn't shoot him.
he says, "I don't want to."
Yeah. And then he smacks the gun right out of her hand.
I mean, smacks it too. Like,
Yeah. He
Across the room.
yeah.
ooh, showing that Vulcan strength.
Yeah, and then Kirk pops up out of a bed, which I don't know why he had to be in a bed. Like that didn't. Yeah.
None of them had to be in beds. If she showed up, she's guilty.
Right.
They're just hamming it up,
But Kirk
like a
pops out
bunch of
his
kids
bed,
around
too.
the campfire. Wouldn't it be cool if we hid under the blanket? That's how I imagine like the command crew of the Enterprise acting.
Like, what
leading
if
up
they
to
did
this.
get shot? Like, they messed up big time.
Well, then the alarm will go off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You'll still be dead.
So then they, trying to get information out of her. She chooses not to tell them.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, yep.
From here says supposed to be Jeffrey's tubes. No, Jeffrey's tubes are access tubes between levels with ladders in them. This was a good old from your office building air vent that just
because the air was coming through and rattling on the stuff in there because the air was pushing through
because the air conditioning was on. Yes.
Yeah.
On your spaceship.
So then they're trying to get information out of her. She chooses not to. She's not lying, but she's making a choice. And so then Spock has to do the whole Vulcan mind meld.
Which, by the way, not true. She said, "I don't remember." You don't just choose to forget. Like she lied.
Yeah.
Just
so he mind melds her, gets some surface level information, but then they ask for some deeper information about where the meeting is going to be. She doesn't know it, but Spock keeps going, and she starts screaming in pain. And so then they break the mind meld. but they didn't even ask her about like how many of these cloaked ships and this and that. So they have to ask her after the mind meld.
Yeah.
But at that point, she knows they're just going to mind meld her anyways.
Did that
That
mind meld make anyone else uncomfortable?
It was a little weird.
That was a little weird, especially because
right?
there's not really any dialogue. Like Kirk looks at Spock and like nods, and Spock is just like, I will totally mind meld the heck out of this.
Yeah.
ITCH, and just gets right after it. And she looks like she's going to cry the whole time. And I'm sitting there just like, wow, this is making me feel uncomfortable.
Definitely.
I'd almost rather that they had tortured her.
And I don't know. I don't know if it's something that like the older that you get, if you become more attuned to doing the mind meld or something, but he's half Vulcan. She's full Vulcan. So you would think that she, like, out of the two, if one of them had better mind meld powers, you would think it would be her, right?
Right. Well, Spock does a lot of the Vulcan monk stuff, and I think they developed their Esper powers through practice and things like that, which she had probably not done. It's just
that's true. Somebody is always live.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
We don't know who, but somebody will be live.
And Curtis will probably be there. But
probably.
Socially in Vulcan culture, like a mind meld is a really intimate personal thing. And it's also very against like their culture to forcefully mind meld someone.
Yep.
Which is part of what bothers me about the Gitter nod, and then Spock's just like, I'm on it, boss.
Kirk does say Spock, and then he gives him the wink.
He does like the nod.
Well,
like
same thing when they hatched the whole plan to say that they were taking the statement from the other two. Like they have this I don't know, kind of secret thing with just the two of them that they don't let anybody else in on. So
yeah. But having a rapport with each other, but then
But you don't want Chekhov to know because he's aloof the whole time. So he's gonna run around.
Chekhov's an idiot, but I love him.
Yeah. Right.
They made Chekhov so bad in this movie. I was sad. It was sad.
Right. But just Spock being like, hell yeah, I'll violate her mind, no problem. It just seemed like there should have been some dialogue there. There's no choice. People are gonna die or something. But he's just like, nope. I'm going in 4 fingers, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then he uses one hand and that's not good enough. And he's just
that's for the second.
I didn't even know that psychic powers work that way, where he's like, haha, you thought I was at the end of my abilities. I'm going to use my strong hand. And then faster.
It's like Princess Bride. I'm not left-handed.
Right.
So they get the information. They just need to find out where the new meeting is at. Of course, they've got their buddy Sulu to help them with that and give them that information. They let Sulu know that there is, they don't know how, but there is a cloaked bird of prey that can fire, and that, and so he's going to try to race there, but he's in a totally different quadrant, so he doesn't know if he's going to make it in time. Yeah.
It's very important. Sulu says that the new conference is at Camp Kittimer.
Yeah,
and
I noticed that too.
That's a foreshadowing or a hint to the Kittimer Accords, which you eventually get to in Star Trek universe,
and the Kittimer Massacre.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. So they go rushing to get there, and they're trying to see if they can figure out where this ship is. Chang just starts talking to him. Chang's just like, "Hey guys, you looking for me?"
I would have enjoyed it more if they found him through the communication signal rather than plasma emissions. Because
I don't okay.
That's not a theatrical joke.
I don't want to get ahead of myself. Because my favorite part of the whole fucking movie, probably my favorite part of Star Trek, is coming up. so he's talking back and forth with him. He's taking pot shots at him and just, wrecking the Enterprise. Enterprise cannot find him, cannot hit him. Meanwhile, there's a sniper getting ready to take position to shoot the Chancellor's daughter, because she's like the next in line.
The sniper's sitting in the conference room with a briefcase that looks like a gun case, by the way.
Yeah,
which was interesting also.
Yeah. Yep. So then they come up with this exhaust plan, and Spock tells the doctor, you want to do some surgery on a torpedo, because there's no engineers around apparently.
He's standing there like,
yeah,
I'm right fucking here.
yeah. And so Spock and McCoy go down to operate on a torpedo to have it target the heat from the vents or some shit. So they're working on that. Meanwhile, Chang is just hitting them with line after line of Shakespeare and just pelting them with photon torpedoes. And then they finally finish the torpedo. They let Kirk know that it's ready, and he does the most amazing thing that I've ever seen in Star Trek, where he gets off of his chair and he leans forward and he goes, "Fire!" I fucking love it. Every time I watch, I was telling Darla, every time I watch it, I've got to rewind it like 2 or 3 times and watch it again, because he just leans into it. Fire. And that torpedo goes, whoo.
That's another thing that I was thinking about too, rewatching it this time. It had never come to mind before.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's following their exhaust trail. So Chang is out there like, hey, do some donuts. Spin a figure eight. Like, they can't see us. Who cares, right? In between quoting Shakespeare, he's like a teenage kid in a empty parking lot.
He's doing Tokyo Drift in space.
Right. Because that torpedo is like following their vapor trail, right?
Yeah. Well, you got to figure they're moving around, right? Because each time that they fire at him, the Enterprise could just lock on that position, and right?
But not
so he's got to move
around
like each time. Yeah,
but not moving around like a drunk infant. I mean,
no, I get it.
Over the place.
But that torpedo, just, woo, and he gives the to be or not to be, and then just then Sulu's there. Sulu says, "Target that explosion." He's blasting them. Enterprise is blasting them. They blow him out of the sky, no problem, because they may be able to fire while they're cloaked, but they can't have their shields up while they're cloaked. So they are fucked. So
and that explosion at the end with the practical model, like I modern day CG is amazing, but there's something about those old special effects with the practical models exploding where you see the little pieces go flying off because they're blowing up an actual model that, I don't know, I just love it.
Real materials.
Mm-hmm. You just don't see that anymore. Everything explodes in a ball of fire. I like seeing the little chunks go flying.
William, that's very interesting. I don't think I can pull that up, but that is very interesting. So they shoot him out of the sky. Now they just got to make it down to the conference and stop whatever is going on there. So they beam down. Kirk goes diving after the one guy and kind of tackles him to save him as the blast is going. They shoot the sniper, take him out. And then now this is the part, as much as I thought.
Wait, hold on. I got to interrupt because Scotty busts into the room, right? He sees the sniper. He shoots the sniper. The sniper flies through the window, falls to the floor from a great height, right? Mm-hmm. A Starfleet officer comes running up to him. He has a piece of glass stuck in his neck. Mm-hmm. And the guy reaches over and starts like pulling on it. And I was just like, that's an interesting choice. Like, he's shot by a phaser. He goes through a window, falls, probably 40 feet to the ground. And the guy's like, I think he died from this piece of glass in his neck. I was just like, why is he doing that? Like, ooh, a dead body. And he starts just like poking at it, I don't know. It was weird.
So, if you're in that room, you have no idea what the fuck's going on, right? Like, these people just beamed in, their shots fired. All of a sudden, Kirk is there. He's been sentenced to life in prison on Rura Pente. He's not supposed to be there. And he comes out and he just says something about, talking to the one gal that her father had called it the undiscovered country, and goes in this thing. Doesn't explain anything that happened. Doesn't explain the cloaked ship. Doesn't explain the conspiracy, whatever. And she's like, "You've restored my father's faith," or whatever. And it's like, she just wanted him dead. Like she didn't want him extradited. She didn't want him going back to Starfleet. She didn't want them taking it easy on him. She wanted him dead. Now he shows up. There's gunfire. People are getting tackled to the ground. And she's just immediately like, "Great job." Yeah, they just tied it up in a real little bow. And I'm like,
well, they've got phasers on Cartwright.
Yeah, well, they do, but they haven't explained anything. Yeah. They haven't said nothing. Like, I would expect her to be pissed off. Like, what is going on? How is he here? This is ridiculous, whatever. And then for them to explain the whole, no, they don't do
There'd be phaser fire all over the place.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Rura Pente has a transporter block, but the peace conference doesn't.
No, of course not.
That's not right.
Yeah. So then, they all live happily ever after. Everything's done. They're back on the Enterprise. They tell them to go to the docking station for decommission. And, Spock says if he was human, he would tell them to go to hell if he was human. So, and then, they ask Kirk where they should go. And he delivers the most epic second star to the right, straight on till morning. And, oh, God.
Peter Pan all the way,
I
baby.
get fucking chills, man. Just like goosebumps all over.
So to comment on the way they wrap everything up so fast.
Yeah.
The movie's already an hour and 48 minutes in length because I gave myself an hour and a half to watch the movie today before this show started. And I'm here making corn dogs and stuff for lunch. And then I go to start the movie and it says an hour and 48. And I was like, damn it. So yeah, I had to rush the ending a little bit. I'd seen it before multiple times, but I wanted a refresher before we talked about it. But I think they probably hit a point of length where they're like, just wrap this up.
I mean, nowadays it's not uncommon to see, 2.5, 3 hour movies,
Right.
But
early 90s, probably not so much.
Yeah.
And then Crom says ending credits where they put their signatures across the screen always chokes them up. That's when you realize that's the last movie with the original cast. Well, kind of, until later on when they bring them back for the
Generations.
Generations. But yeah,
and a few episodes.
But at the last numbered episode or last numbered movie that they did.
Yeah.
Any other? Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Speaking of the ending credit or the scene before the ending credits with their signatures, chokes me up. And then the moment they did that at the end of Avengers Endgame, I was like, oh shit! That chokes me up every time too. Because they did
I didn't get choked up because if you watch this movie, they're all ancient, and they should have put their signatures up a few movies ago. I
did like the Sulu, his ship next to the Enterprise, and then
the Excelsior.
Them saying that that ship's got a good captain, that kind of thing. That was nice. So
that's a big ship, and it's got a big captain.
Yeah.
But I mean, the cast is too old to all be together.
Yeah.
Spock and Kirk even talks about, or they talk
this
about this
movie. They didn't beat us over the head with their age as much as some of the previous movies, actually. Because that's one thing they do with these movies of the original cast is beat us over the head with how old they are. And it's like, we have eyes, we know how old they are.
One thing I forgot to mention was when they went to go rescue the captain and the doctor, they enter Klingon space, which apparently is as easy as just talking Klingon. Like that's all you need to do to enter Klingon space. But
They're
they
like-
didn't prepare anything. Like
Yeah.
the stuff that they ended up telling them was basically, we're going to Rura Pente, we've got supplies. But they didn't look up any of that beforehand. They wait until they're being asked the question.
Or
for them to
Hura understands and speaks like 37 languages, and then we all of a sudden realize that one of them's not Klingon.
yeah,
Like, really?
yeah.
The communications expert doesn't speak
The thickness of
understand
those
Klingon?
books.
Yeah, they're like going through the books. My favorite part of that moment, though, is when the one lady goes like this, and they have to fake laugh. Yeah. To where they sound like Jabba the Hutt. Ho, 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 ho.
Yeah, right. But yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Like, that outpost is scanning them and being like, "That's weird that they're sending a freighter full of photon torpedoes to Rura Pente." Oh well,
Yeah.
pour me another drink.
Yeah,
I think it was more of
a
showing how
Galaxy-class
incompetent.
starship.
Yeah, showing how incompetent those guys were.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. All right, so that's pretty much the movie. Before we get into rating the movie, any other things you guys wanted to bring up? Any other moments we didn't touch on?
There's a lot of cameo actors throughout. Kirkwood Smith is the president, the Federation president, who goes on to, he's big from RoboCop and That's a Me show. The Chancellor Gorkon is a well-known actor, and then there's quite a few, like, oh, that actor is playing that character.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The Kevin Bacon one really stands out.
Christian Slater.
Christian
Yeah,
Slater,
you mean
that's what I
Christian?
meant. They're practically
I was
the same person.
like, it didn't for me. I didn't even notice it.
Sorry. They're practically the same person. But that
Sure.
one really stood out as just like, hey, I'd like to be in Star Trek. And they're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, but we're gonna have Sulu make you look like a fucking idiot. It's awesome. I love that scene. Like, Sulu just makes him look like such an idiot.
Yep. The fact that, I mean, I know it's a popular quote from Shakespeare, but Hamlet, the to be or not to be, right at the end before he blows up, and it being a Hamlet quote is fantastic.
Like, he knows at that point, he knows he's cooked. Like, there's nothing. Like, he's
like, we never should have put the muffler right next to the bridge, because that's exactly what
it comes right through the view screen.
Right through the view screen.
Yeah.
And he looks over at the muffler and is like, "This is a terrible design." Also,
is that like
it's the prototype, and they're like, "Where should we store the blueprints for the prototype?" And they're like, "On the prototype, duh, it can fire cloaked. No one will ever find it." Because they never make another bird of prey that can fire cloaked. So the blueprints must have been on the prototype. So,
all right, we're gonna go around for final thoughts and a rating 1 to 10. Keep in mind, we talked about last time, there are, I believe there was 11 movies last time we counted. Maybe I'm wrong. Could be 12. But we said that, you could basically only use the same rating twice. As we go through all these movies. So some movie is going to end up being a 1. Something's going to be a 2. So with that in mind, rating 1 to 10. And Jeff, you're starting. Final thoughts and a rating.
I think I rated First Contact at a 10 because that's my favorite of all the Star Trek movies. But this is my favorite TOS, or the original crew movies, and so it's at a 9 for me. Strong 9.
Final thoughts on the movie itself.
I was a young kid in Next Gen, and the first time I saw this movie, it was on TV. It was just on regular broadcasts, and I turned it on, and it's the killing of Chancellor Gorkon, and you just see the floating blood. And that just sticks in your brain for years to come. And then when I saw the entire film from beginning to end, I was like, oh, so this is like a prequel that was done during when Next Gen was on TV, and it folds in everything nicely from the original series crew to the Next Gen crew.
Yeah. Joe, you're next. Rating and final thoughts.
Well, I went 9 with First Contact. It is my favorite of the modern ones. This is probably my second favorite of the original crew. So I'm going to go 8 on this one. It's way up there. You know, I rewatch these movies almost looking for things to make jokes about, you know, because we're doing a show and I want to be entertaining, right? But the first time I watched these movies, there was no jokes or anything. I was just glued to the screen, just enjoying myself at these amazing characters telling an amazing story. And I absolutely love these movies. This one's way up there on the list as far as like a good story to tell. It's such a good plot that I would have loved to have seen it as a season of Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for them to spend more time on Rura Penthe.
It would have made a lot more sense with the planning time and things like that. Yes.
Yeah. You know, and just a lot of the locations are pretty fantastic. It's a great build up to a ship that can fire while cloaked, which, you know, that doesn't sound like a big thing, but if you're a Star Trek fan, like that's a really big thing. Just the fact that Klingons and Romulans can cheat and have cloaking devices in the first place, you know, that was like, I remember hearing that the first time, like it can fire while cloaked. And I was like, somebody's in trouble. Like, how are they going to resolve this?
Like, oh, shit.
Yeah. So, you know, it was really fun revisiting this movie. You almost forget sometimes how much you like something if you haven't watched it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, rewatching it was just good fun.
I mean, I said before, this is my favorite of all the Star Trek films, so this is a 10 for me. And I love the story. I love the whole prison world thing. The murder mystery nature of the whole situation, the floating blood, the Shakespeare, the culmination of all the like Klingon and Starfleet animosity and kind of getting to the point where we see on Next Gen to where there's a Klingon actually serving in the Federation. We were like, this is, you know, how is this possible? Well, because this stuff happened, you know? So I just, and not only that, but I felt like it put a nice little, you know, it tied a nice bow on the whole Star Trek numbered movies. There was kind of the running joke back in the day that all the odd ones were shit and all the even ones were great. And this was an even one. It was the last even one. And I feel like it was an excellent way for them to finish the numbered movies. It was awesome. So
definitely.
There was one thing I forgot to bring up that I really wanted us to touch on before we close out the show though. Back when we were doing First Contact, Sexual Contact, we had talked about how Jean-Luc Picard is very much he's got like PTSD at the beginning of it, right? Like he's very much not himself. He's really bogged down by the whole situation that happened between him and the Borg. It affects his decision-making abilities. It affects how he handles himself and takes care of his crew, even how he interacts with his crew to where he calls Worf a coward at one point. And I feel like there's a lot of similarities in this one where you see, you know, Kirk at the beginning is very, this is never going to work. Like, we can't trust these guys. Like, you know, like this is not the right thing to do. And at the end of this movie, he's like, you know, there is reason to hope. And there is, you know, like we should be able to work together and we should be able to put aside our differences and all this kind of thing. And I just think that it's kind of cool that you see that, you know, the captain of both of these movies starts out very flawed. And by the end of the movie, they've grown a little bit.
Yeah.
So
I do have a comment on that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I know Kirk is upset that and Jeff is starting to laugh already because he knows I'm going to say something funny, and I am. But Kirk Kirk is like, they killed my boy, you know,
Mhm.
and he just, not saying that there's not an instant connection just because they're related, but Kirk barely knew his kid.
He knew him for like 5 minutes. Yeah.
So much so that the picture of him that he has on his desk is from the other movie. Like he didn't even
It's a
have like a
screenshot.
photo of him, like a straight up like, hey, can you pose for a photo real quick in
Yeah.
the other movie kind of thing. So Kirk had been fighting the Klingons for a long time. I wish they hadn't leaned into that specific aspect quite as much, just because of how that story with him and his son was told in the other movies.
Well,
You know?
the other thing that's silly about that is like the entire Klingon race didn't kill his son, right? Like
Right.
a Klingon killed
Just
his
Christopher
son, right?
Lloyd.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah,
We got to go back, Kirky.
yeah. It's, I mean, yeah. So that part of it, I'm with you 100%. But
Yeah.
he still would not trust them based on everything he's gone through the original
absolutely.
series and as well as the other movies. So
Yeah. Agreed. That thing with his son, when he's holding the picture of his son and it's just like a straight up like cast photo from the previous
screenshot from the
movie.
other, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like that's an interesting choice. They at least could have got a picture of a kid or something, you know, like it just straight up like they're hanging out, you know, underground after Khan buries them, and he's just like, "Can I get a pic real quick since you're my son?" You know? So,
Jeff, thoughts on Kirk's growth in this compared to Picard's in First Contact?
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that. My take, definitely everybody grows in this in some way, maybe for the best, maybe for the worst. Like I said, they did check off terribly. Like they made him
look like an idiot, but they did that in a few movies. Like when they were, was it 4 when they're on Earth and like he's looking for the nuclear vessels.
Yeah.
Like, he just always comes across as an idiot. So I think maybe that little worm thing that was in his brain like kind of
scrambled everything.
Yeah.
They only keep him around because they feel bad for him.
Yeah.
He has brain worm.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Khan kind of screwed him up, so now we're legally required to let him still serve.
Yeah. It's like, get him some ice cream and let him drive the ship. It's all right.
And like Uhura, she knows languencies. Why doesn't she know Klingon? Like that should be. There's just some awkwardness.
I didn't even think about her not knowing Klingon. What I thought about is like the information that they end up communicating is pretty basic information that they could have already had prepared. Like, we're going to Rurapente, we're on a supply run or whatever. Like, they could have had that line prepared. And then if something else came up that they didn't understand, then they could have translated that. But like, they were like, we're just going to wait till we get there. And then
they also say they'll know if we use the universal translator, which in court, the universal translator even changed the way their mouth moved.
Well, here's
to make it look like they're speaking English.
Here's what I was thinking, right? Like, why not use the universal translator with the microphone off to know what they're saying, right? And then use the universal translator, still microphone off, so that you know how it's supposed to sound for what you're supposed to say. Then turn the microphone on and repeat it.
Or how about this? When they're all there flipping through the paper binded books, right?
Yeah.
And folders, binders, and there's an ensign in the background with a tricorder looking up Klingon, going like, what are they doing? You know.
Good stuff.
Back in my day, you know, it's a great comedy scene. It's one of those things, like I said, like I never noticed those things when I watched it the first time. I'm into the movie, I'm into the plot. You know, you're rewatching it looking for things that would be entertaining to talk about on a show, and it's like there's a few. There's a few.
Yeah. Well, we've got a couple really high grades from the last 2 movies. I think it's time that we picked out a stinker. Now, keep in mind, this is the Star Trek universe, and anything is still Star Trek. So, you know, it's still going to have some value. It's still going to be good. I've enjoyed every Star Trek film, but we need to pick something on the lower end of the spectrum, I think. So I would say either one of the odd numbered films, or one of the new Star Trek, like the rehash version ones.
So my thought on this
Yep.
is that my least favorite, and I've only watched it once,
Mm-hmm.
is Generations.
Okay.
But I watched it when it was new with very high expectations.
Mm.
You know, hey, Kirk and Spock in the same movie, this is going to be awesome. And I remember hating it.
Kirk.
You mean
Like-
Kirk and Picard?
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
meant. Everybody knows what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
But and I remember hating it, and I have all these years been just like, this is my least favorite. I would love to rewatch it with modern eyes without that expectation of how awesome it's going to be and see if it's actually as bad as I remember it being. So my vote is for Generations.
Now I don't know. Maybe I'm not remembering it right, but I actually think I remember enjoying Generations somewhat. So to me, that wouldn't. I don't immediately in my brain. I wouldn't go. That's probably a bottom 5 on the scale of 10. That's a bottom 5 movie to me. That doesn't hit me as a bottom 5. But I'm not opposed.
Did I do good? Really? That doesn't hit you as a bottom 5?
Listen,
I want to throw things at
1, 3, and 5 are real stinkers, and I'm not a huge fan of the newer ones either. So
I liked 1.
Okay. So let's go to Jeff. Let's see what Jeff's thoughts are. If you were to pick one of the kind of stinkers, one of the lesser scores, what are your thoughts?
My lowest is number 5. What is number 5? Not the Voyage Home.
Nope, it's the one after that.
Yeah. Yeah, either Star Trek 5 or Star Trek the Motion Picture. Those are my bottom 2. But Star Trek the Motion Picture is above Star Trek 5 for me.
I think we skipped the motion picture early on. Final Frontier is 5. We skipped the motion picture early on. We didn't want that to be the first one because we said, hey, probably not the best one to get started with, to make people want to come back and see this or to make us want to come back and do this.
Right.
I would say going back to Star Trek, the motion picture, the original might be a good place to go next.
Okay.
Are we good with that?
Yeah.
I'm
All
down.
right. So we will do that. We'll see. I don't know when we're going to schedule it. We're going to have to find out what Joe's overtime schedule looks like and go from there. But that is the next one we will do. I am in season 3 of Discovery. So at some point we can maybe do a Discovery conversation, but yeah. And just really quickly, I know this isn't an off-world thing, but
nice. Congrats.
So there
This
you
is
go.
totally an off-world thing.
First look. Look at that. It's real. It's real, folks. Cool.
So when Curtis wasn't laughing at my jokes, that's because he was looking at his brushes. Everyone.
I was not. Darla brought him over. I have not even opened them yet. It's still sealed. But brushes are in. So
awesome.
All right, folks. Well, we'll see you next time for Star Trek, the motion picture. And until then, we'll see you on the off-world.